Okay, thanks. So I could not be more delighted to have PayPal with us this morning. They're an extraordinary company, and there probably are very few people that don't know about PayPal. But I wanted to share something that I thought was pretty extraordinary about the company in the challenging times that we're in and have gone through over the last year and a half now, that PayPal as a company has made almost a $500 million commitment to improve diversity and inclusion, not only in their own companies, but in the communities around the world and in the communities where they have a presence, to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion, and including in the work that they do around talent development, both in terms of upskilling in their own organizations, which they do a great job on, but also in terms of the diversity in their recruiting and their hiring, also in things like enhanced contributions to their employee gift matching. So when employees give gifts of their time or their treasure, that they increase the matching funds in that. Strong commitment to Black and minority owned businesses and helping them develop. So just some really, really exciting leadership, innovative things they're doing, and I wanted to call that out. They also, you're going to hear from them, have some really, I think, far-reaching, broad and innovative ideas about talent. They participate in Europe, which I know some of you are familiar with. I think Phoenix Union was the largest feeder into the Europe program here locally. They also worked with the apprenticeship program in cybersecurity with Apprenti. They have 2 or 3 apprentices who actually were doing their related technical instruction and training with the Maricopa Community College District. And RC, if I've got any of that wrong, you can correct me. I'm going from my memory on that, but just an amazing, amazing team. And I couldn't be more excited to have them here with you this morning to talk about how they protect users and how they protect merchants from the abuse of the bad guys who are out there. I didn't know till I saw the description, which you all have in your agenda, that all of these individuals actually came from intern roles that PayPal had. Somehow I missed that when we were doing our prep sessions. So I think that's really exciting. So we have RC Johnson, who's the head of applied research, product and consumer threat management. Adam, I think it's Est or West, and you can correct me in a minute, who is the research lead for that very same group. And Yegana Ladwick, who is also a research lead in that team. And if I have mispronounced names, please correct me when you get to do a further introduction of yourself. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the PayPal team. And PayPal team, you can ask the group to be interactive during your session, hold questions till the end. I'll try to keep a watch on the chat as well. And I will turn it over to you to run your session with us this morning. And RC, you're on mute. And you're still on mute.
Now, can you guys hear me?
We can, and we can see your screen perfectly.
Perfect. Yeah, Zoom is interesting when you full screen sharing. It's always a fun time with Zoom.
Yeah,
so,
we have a few issues.
I bet. So everybody, thanks for joining today. We've got some pretty exciting things to share for this conversation today. Again, so what we're titling this is On the Cutting Edge of Cybersecurity, and we're going to give you some perspectives from the threat management organization here at PayPal. It's myself, RC, got Adam Ost, and Yegana Ladwick will be presenting to you today. So just make sure you guys can see my screens when they advance. Is everybody good? Because I can't see anybody else, so okay.
Yes, we're good. I'll keep my mic on so instead of thumbs up. Yep, we're good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So first, we talk a little bit about PayPal. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. But give a little more deep dive into who we are at PayPal, what we do. I'll give a little bit of my perspectives of information security from the position of a manager, and then we'll Adam and Yegana will both give some of their perspectives from their experiences with PayPal. So start out a little bit about me, who I am, why I'm here talking to you. So I'm actually a former athlete. So in what I like to call my previous life, I was an Olympic Greco-Roman wrestler. That was a really fun time, national titles, world teams, qualified for Olympic team, all the fun stuff back in the day. I was also a computer science PhD studying in voice biometric authentication. So that was really fun things for security and privacy. As she mentioned, I was also a PayPal/eBay intern back in the day. I'm an intern on our risk organization, so that was fun as well. Once I've been at PayPal for a little bit, I went to the Technology Leadership Program, which is a 2-year rotational program. It's almost like an internal MBA, where we had 4 6-month-long rotations. I did a rotation in diversity and inclusion, where I led diversity and inclusion for our tech organization. I went to Tel Aviv, where I worked with a machine learning team, where I got to embed and work with them, do some really cool work there. Then I went to Singapore, working with our sales team, sales engineering team within Braintree, just how can they better utilize data, etc. And then I came back home to the States, working with the information security ecosystem team, looking at how we can better defend the ecosystem against certain attacks that we face as a company. Since then, I graduated from that program, moved on to a couple different roles, and currently I'm the head of applied research and product and consumer threat management at PayPal. And by the way, I know Lauren mentioned this, before we get in, feel free to make this interactive. If you have questions, come off mute, say something, interrupt me, interrupt all of us. It's fun. This should be a fun sort of thing, not just us talking at you. So feel free to do so that. So getting into a little bit about PayPal. Hopefully we don't need much of an introduction, but I'll give you a slight one anyway. So in 2015, we separated from eBay and we became an independent company. After that point, we went on a nice little acquisition spree. We acquired Zoom. We hit the 200 million customer mark. We then acquired iZettle, Hyperwallet, Simility, Jetlore. I mean, these companies are really great companies that really help to flush out our brand and what we're working on. We were one of the first folks to receive our payment license operating in China. We launched Zoom in Europe in 2019, and then we acquired a company called Honey, hit the 300 million user mark, and now we're up to 392 million users as of this year. So we've definitely had tremendous growth in the last few years. It's been a fun ride since separating from eBay. So really big things is like we operate at scale. We are a giant company that operates at giant, global scale, internet scale companies, right? Again, 392 million customers. We've got, over 30 million merchants that we work with and we support, and we allow them to do business. We're in over 200 markets, 25 currencies, and our work works in, our applications work in 20 different languages. So again, we are a global scale company. The issues that we tackle, taking this back to information security, the issues that we tackle are global scales. We have to worry about different organizations in different regions, different regulatory environments, etc. So it's a very large company. When we talk about big data, this is true big data, what we deal with. And again, we are definitely more than just a mobile app. Most people, when they think of PayPal, you're like, PayPal? I don't use PayPal, I use Venmo, right? When you talk to a lot of folks, but a lot of people don't know, or at least they don't, look deep enough to see, we actually own Venmo. So Venmo is one of our products using consumer P2P. We also do some merchant work with Venmo as well. We have Braintree. Braintree is a full stack payments platform, makes it easy to accept payments with any app or website. Think of it as a service that powers the payments on different websites. We have Honey, we're finding the really great deals on the internet. So again, we have a bunch of different services and products that we offer. Some are more behind the scenes, some are more upfront as actual goods and services that people will interact with. For example, Zoom is what you can use to send money internationally for much lower fees than some of the others out there. So a lot of great products that PayPal offers, products and services. And again, we're not just a mobile app. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about information security and just managing the teams here at PayPal. So first we'll say, what is information security? right? So basically we protect our businesses from unauthorized account use and access, right? So we have multiple layers of defense within our company, right? So you think of it a couple different ways. A great way I think about it is you think about this for layers of control, right? So that first layer might stop anti-automation, right? So all the different bots people write to automatically try to come in and log into people's accounts and do harm, like DDoS. I'm sure you guys know about distributed denial of service. Next layer is credential. So let's make sure that everybody has the right passwords. Because if you don't have the right password, you're not getting in, right? That means, you know, simple. And then the third layer would be fraud. So thinking about, you know, does this look and feel like the right person, right? So the classic example I like to give for this one is, let's say that every day you have a new iPhone that logs into Starbucks and, you know, buys a $5 latte, but suddenly you've got a Windows 8 machine logging in from Siberia in the evening. That's very strange, right? So that's weird. We should probably stop. We should probably investigate, maybe ask you some more questions just to make sure that's you, right? So that's the way you think about it in like layered controls, right? So we're the ones who we have the different controls set up in place to ensure that our customers' data are protected and customers' accounts are protected from any security threats, and that we minimize and try to eliminate any successful attacks on our accounts. Also, if you think about these things in lines of defense, right? So you have the upfront controls. Those are the actual security controls that are implemented to protect our customers. We have the oversight to make sure that that there are no gaps in our controls, that nothing's getting through. And then we have audit, right? So now when it comes to these three layers, our group, we're actually in the oversight group, right? So we don't own the specific controls. What we do is we investigate, we research, we make sure that there are no gaps in the controls that exist, and to ensure that our customers are being adequately protected, you know, and we're living up to our claim of you know, ultimate security that we have for our customers. Oops, this is not going forward. Let me, got it. Okay. So in terms of our team, so we're part of the threat management organization. So applied research is within the threat management organization. And so we've got, you know, three main buckets. You can kind of think about the type of research that we work in, right? So as you mentioned, my title is head of product and consumer. So for product, thinking about, you know, how are attackers trying to attack our product, and do we have the right controls in place to effectively defend? So thinking about control bypass, are they trying to bypass into controls that we have? App emulators, right? Are they running, you know, emulators that simulate being a mobile application, but they're running thousands of them trying to attack our accounts? You know, are we correctly detecting that and mitigating? You know, any software bugs that come, any gaps in our controls where, you know, we're supposed to be checking to ensure that an ID is unique and suddenly it's not. Like, are we identifying these things, and many, many more, right? That's what we're focusing on in terms of product. In terms of the consumer side of things, we're thinking about how do we protect our consumers? So, you know, phishing. I'm sure every single person on this call has had one of those emails saying, hey, here's your receipt for buying that $10,000 item. Click here if you have any questions, right? And they're just hoping and praying that you click that button, and then it takes you to some site and you enter in all your information, and then they got you, right? So we actively work to identify and defend our customers from scams of that nature as well. You know, password theft, right? I mean, you could open Google. I was opening Google this morning and I see news about different companies having data breaches and data dumps coming online. Like, you know, probably know about the LinkedIn breach that happened back in 2016 or something like that, where all the usernames and passwords were leaked online, right? So, you know, we'll work to try to ensure that those accounts are resecured in a quick and timely manner if we find any exposure related to any of those dumps that we find out there on the internet. So again, trying to protect our customers, and it's a proactive protection, right? We want to protect our customers before they even know there's any issue, right? And also we do a lot of research collaboration. So we're collaborating with universities, which we'll go into a little bit here. We collaborate with other teams outside of the information security organization. We're a very collaborative company. So we'll collaborate with our friends in the risk organization. We'll collaborate with some of anybody who who we think that will be, a good partner. So in terms of the university partnerships, right now we have two main universities that we partner with. Now we have others, but these are the main ones. So we partner with Arizona State University. We've been partnering with them for a number of years, and out of this partnership, it's actually been very beneficial. We've got multiple papers published. You'll see later that we have one that won the Internet Defense Prize. We've got multiple patents that have come out of some of that work. It's been a very productive relationship, I would say. We even have a few interns that converted from internship to full-time, and now they're working with us, two of which that you'll talk to later today. So again, that's been a really great partnership with that organization. Additionally, we're partnering with Howard University. We actually have a new partnership we spun up this year that we're looking into the IoT landscape, so Internet of Things, looking at what sort of attacks could potentially exist from Internet of Things devices like smart toasters and smart refrigerators, and what could they do with these sort of things coming online, and because a lot of people aren't thinking about the security aspect of these things. And so again, we're using our partnerships to focus on those things, is to ensure that our customers are defended before they even know any issues come up. We also have internships, and again, thinking about the future, thinking about the building a solid pipeline. So our internships in our organization, on our specific team, we do PhD and graduate research projects. We have done others, and we will be expanding that in the near future. We primarily focus on specific projects that lead to. So what we do is we try to blend the work that the PhD student is working on and their interest towards their PhD with real world problems that we have and that exist in PayPal. For example, you're going to hear about some of the work on anti-phishing, where that's a serious problem for our customers. So we worked on, how do we stop anti-phishing? How do we mitigate this problem? Well, we were able to work with one of the students to work towards solving that. And so that helped us and the greater ecosystem, as well as that student work towards their PhD. Again, you'll hear more from that student later. He's really awesome. And we also have both summer and longer term internship projects where we have our normal 12-week summer internship, but we also do longer term projects where maybe this will be a 3-year project that will work with a student, and maybe they're a first-year PhD student. We can work with them for multiple years to help them towards their PhD goals, while we're working on these projects that will outlive an internship, right? So some will be in-house as part of an internship, some will be out. So that's a great one. As Lauren mentioned earlier, we also work with Year Up, been doing that for a couple of years. That is a great program because it's really, again, thinking about building that pipeline. You're giving these young students the exposure to all these different tools and techniques and information and even people that they wouldn't ordinarily be exposed to in the course of their life journey. And we're giving them an opportunity to learn and grow and potentially even get a role in the company. I was really excited to, after, pre-pandemic, I was 100% for the Europe interns that we worked with, getting them a contract with the company. I know it's not a full-time employment, but at least it's getting them that next step, their foot in the door to be with us for a nice period of time, and really get them some great exposure and helping them build their resume. And also, we recently started working with the Apprentice program. That's another great program. We've got somebody, it's brand new for us. So we just started working a couple months ago. We've got my team, we actually have one apprentice on our team. We've got, I believe, 3 or 4 within the organization. And so far that's looking to be a really good program. These folks come in with a lot of real world experience from other domains, and now they're working to transfer that into technology. So really excited about continuing to build and work with the Apprentice program as well. So in terms of, what we look for, right? We talked about building the pipeline. It's funny, when people think information security, they think, well, you got to be a computer science major. That's obviously, well, that's not actually the case. I mean, a lot of us are, but it's such a broad area that we don't want just coders, right? We want people with business analytics background. So for example, just give a little side note, I just wrapped up a project where it was a 2-year project where it was essentially pure analytics, right? So it wasn't a lot of actual hands-on code development. It was, working with tools like Tableau and Power BI and those things to figure out what sort of interesting insights that you can get from the data, right? So it's not just programming, right? There's all these other things that are needed for our roles. So those are the types of things that we look for when we're trying to build our pipeline and identify students, right? Obviously, there's going to be some computer science in there. That's true, right? But sociology, right? So when we're looking at underground marketplaces, we're thinking about, you know, how are we defending our company and our platform against threats. We need people to understand, like, you know, how do people think? How do criminals think, right? And sociology, people with sociology majors, they can actually be very impactful in that field of study. So again, not just computer science. We're looking for all different types of majors that can come and contribute to the work we do. And even within our organization, right? Again, there are a ton of different areas of research that people can focus on and people can do. Like, these are just some examples of my specific organization. So within threat management, you know, my boss and everybody reporting down to him, I mean, we focus on all these areas, right? And more. But again, like, mobile security is very different from cryptocurrency, right? And so thinking about somebody who's trying to break apart the blockchain, what sort of holes are in integration of the blockchain wallets and taking crypto payments and sending them out, where, like, what sort of issues can arise from that sort of integration, right? Like, we have people focusing in on that, and purely that. As I mentioned before, we have people focusing in on analytics, right? Taking a sea of data, a mountain of data, if you will, and trying to pull from it some sort of interesting information, right? That can then be translated and surfaced and shared with executives in a nice visual manner, right? Those are very, very different things, but we need all of those in order to run a successful organization. And again, you know, in terms of the experience of people, you know, we really strive to ensure that our people have a wide variety of life experiences, right? Whether they, you know, took some time off work to take care of a loved one for a while and had that life experience, whether they've started their own business, done a thing on their own, and now they want to come back and work for a larger company. Whether, like myself, right, I spent most of the time getting my PhD as, you know, being an Olympic athlete. So my PhD took forever, but I got it. You know, and doing that, right, and the life experience that comes there, or whether you had a long served military career, right? All these different perspectives coming together is what makes an organization like ours function properly. And again, you know, thinking about you know, hiring top talent, right? Obviously, you know, we want people to be smart. We need people to be you know, top of the class, et cetera, et cetera. But also, there's all these other things that go into having a successful career, right? Positive attitude, right? You can't always be, you know, this is fun. This is, you know, you got to be, like, energetic. You got to be excited about it. Got to be a lifelong learner, right? There's a lot of people who come in like, you know, I'm the best in my class. I know it all. And then you show them something different, it just totally blows their mind, right? Like, we want somebody who's just always coming in like, hey, what can I learn? What can I do? Excited. And that's almost more important, right? Because you can take somebody who's decently smart, decently bright, but who has that inner hunger and eagerness and wanting to learn, wanting to grow, learn to do. You can take that, shape it, and focus it, and they can be a great contributor to the company and to the team. But somebody who's super smart but doesn't want to work together, doesn't want to collaborate, you know, thinks they know it all, that person is kind of hard to manage and hard to actually bring, like, the right value to the organization. So again, you know, we're looking for, you know, brilliant people with unique perspectives. Again, perspectives. We want a very diverse set of people solving a diverse set of problems with unique perspectives. So that way we understand all the different avenues of which, you know, threats come at us, right? Yeah, perspectives is huge for what we're looking for. Again, you know, when I think of, you know, diversity at PayPal, you know, diversity matters for us, right? So she mentioned the, you know, over $500 million that we're, you know, contributing to the community, that we've pledged to give to the community. Also, internally, we've got a bunch of different ERGs, so employee resource groups, for specific groups within the company. So, you know, we've got a Pride group, a Rise group, Serve, Aliados, Amplify, Thrive. So it's a big thing that's constantly pushed at our company, right? To make sure that we've got that everybody feels welcome, everybody has a community, everybody has support. it's something that's super, super important for us here at PayPal. And then lastly, what I wanted to share was about the diversity of the roles. So I mentioned, even within our team, we've got all the different areas of research. So I just really quick said, let me go to the active job listings that we show on our website, look at just Scottsdale and give me the last 30 or so days of job listings. So what you can see here is it's not about programming, not about developers, right? We've got fraud defense command center analyst manager. We've got technology for a GRC analyst. We've got threat management content engineer. We've got a cybersecurity risk engineer, principal blockchain security. So there's so many different things that we're, as far as information security organization, that we're concentrated on, we're focusing on, and we're trying to hire people for. Again, I just wanted to share that, for us, the perspectives matter. We want people with the broadest life experiences. We want people from analytics to math majors to computer scientists to sociologists. Like, all of them are needed to defend our customers and live up to our brand promise. So with that, I actually want to transition over. By the way, before I actually transition, do we have any questions now, or should we hold this to the end, the questions?
Anyone have any questions? Feel free to come off mute.
I'm good for right now. This information has been really good.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll
Awesome.
go right ahead, RC, then.
We'll keep it going. Awesome. So with that, I'd like to transition to Adam Ost. So he was one of the folks. He was in, again, just like myself, came from being an intern at PayPal to now he's one of the members of the team. So I will let him do his own introduction. So without further ado, I will stop sharing and let Adam take over. Sorry if you guys hear the screaming child in the background. Life.
Thanks, RC. I just need 1 second to pull up the correct window and get everything shared. Okay, and does that look okay to everybody?
We're not seeing it yet. Oh, now here it's coming, Adam. Perfect.
So yeah, thank you again for joining this call. I'm really excited to share a little bit about my perspectives and my journey on at PayPal, and especially that journey from being a student to becoming an employee. So RC was talking about different perspectives and different backgrounds. My background was in computer science. Well, when I was originally a student, I focused actually on things completely unrelated to cybersecurity. I was really interested in web development, so I was concentrating on that. And I also looked at data management, data science, and ended up doing research on CS education, or computer science education. So as you can see in these screenshots here, some of my work back then actually focused on developing educational projects for students and how these interactive games might serve as a better way of teaching computer science and problem solving compared to more traditional approaches. But anyway, as I moved on and graduated from my undergrad and master's, I actually started running a website for camera users. It's kind of one of my hobbies, one of my passions. And while running this website, I realized the tremendous pressure, both from hackers trying to break into the web server running this website, as well as spammers trying to put unwanted content, advertising, malware, those sorts of things, on the website itself. And that really gave me a hands-on introduction into the importance of cybersecurity. And so, without further ado, then I decided to pursue a PhD in cybersecurity. And I ended up focusing on web security, specifically scams and cybercrime. So what I'm going to do first is I'll talk about the internship program and how I kind of, was brought into PayPal. And then I'll give some advice on how you can be successful throughout that journey. And I'll finish by talking about some of the projects and research that I worked on, and how basically we leveraged that internship to solve some really cool real world problems. And as RC may have mentioned already, currently in my role, I do security research at PayPal. So looking at product and consumer threats, and also helping with our university partnerships and collaborations to continue research in the academic level as well. So the internship program at PayPal is a very cool 12-week experience with multiple start dates throughout the summer to kind of accommodate different schools and different regions. We have a team called PayPal University Programs who coordinate this and offer a bunch of really fun activities, including this mini conference called the Intern Summit, where all the interns get together, do some team building and problem solving exercises, and just get to have fun and network. I think with the current virtual situation, that has probably going to have to be on hold, but we hope to bring that back in the future. The internships themselves are well suited both for undergraduates and graduates. And they're really customized based on each individual's background and strengths. So you'd be working with a team, oftentimes on a specific project that's designed to solve real world problems. And this supports very diverse range of majors. It's not limited to cybersecurity, of course. There are many cybersecurity interns, but our internship program is very broad, and it goes everywhere from HR to marketing to technology to cybersecurity. So as we kind of hinted at and talked about a little bit already, when it comes to cybersecurity internships and PayPal in general, it really is all about solving real world problems. As we saw in the past couple of weeks, there's two great examples of cyber attacks that actually had a real world impact that we could, feel. We had meat processing facilities being disrupted for a couple of days, and then we had a pipeline have to get shut down because of ransomware that infected their systems. So these are the kinds of problems that we're trying to solve, or the types of attacks that we're trying to prevent. We don't want any sort of crossover between the cyber world and real world harm, and especially not harm to our customers. So how do you succeed as an intern in cybersecurity and a future professional with these goals in mind? So the way I look at it is, it's really important to bring a set of key skills before you even start on this journey. So having the appropriate background knowledge, in my opinion, is really key. And these could be things specific to the role or the type of cybersecurity that you're interested in. But having a good understanding of the fundamentals of security, things like the CIA triad, or those general concepts, just having an overview is always a good thing to have, as well as data analytics, the ability to write simple statistical or database analysis, and then just having hands-on experience with various tools. I think it's really important to get that hands-on experience, right? Practice hacking, just anything where you can actually do something rather than read about it or just look at information. That practical aspect really helps with succeeding in the workplace, because at the end of the day, everything we do in cybersecurity is highly practical. So as far as the internships themselves go, it's important to be able to adapt to new systems. In the academic setting, you might have experience with tools that are slightly different, or systems that are slightly different, especially when it comes to scale. We work with big data. A lot of other companies work with big data. So being able to understand the challenges in doing that and adapting knowledge from the classroom to that context, I think is really important and would be really helpful. And then finally, domain-specific knowledge, really technical stuff. Those are the sorts of things that can be learned during the internship. So I'll talk a little bit about my research and the sort of things that I learned about related to cybercrime and scams. Those are things where I got to really get a lot of experience and a lot of new knowledge from the internship. And I really was myself building on my background in web development, web security, and those sorts of things. So I kind of brought that passion and combined it with all of this new cybersecurity knowledge. Another key set of skills for success are, of course, the soft skills. And internships are a great opportunity to develop these. But I would say that these are at least as important as the technical skills. So especially the ability to collaborate, work on a team, and talk to other people, communicate, get the help you need. These are all very, very important. And then finally, a key component of our internships, and likely many others as well, is presenting your ideas and your findings to the leadership teams, right? What is the impact of that summer-long project? Why are you an amazing candidate, right? Being able to sell yourself and effectively communicate the value of your work, I think is very, very important. So now going back to solving real world problems, I'll talk a little bit about the things that I worked on at PayPal and some of my academic research as well. So phishing and scams have been a growing problem and something that kind of has been plaguing the internet over the past many years. I think COVID has been a great example of an opportunity for attackers to exploit a real world situation to try to trick users who might be more vulnerable or who might be using computers much more than they're used to. So we saw things such as this, where this is a fake charity website. It looks like a nicely branded CDC donation page where you could donate with the PayPal Giving Fund. It turns out that if you actually go through, click through these buttons and choose to donate, this website would actually collect your personal information and your credit card and use that to steal your identity and possibly even steal your money. So I worked on various approaches to stop these sorts of things. And it's a pretty big problem because as technical solutions have gotten better on the internet, things such as malware are being mitigated very well by those technical solutions. But because scams target the human users, they're much more difficult to deal with. And so it's a great opportunity to develop new systems, new types of research, and new solutions to protect users and to protect PayPal customers as well. As you can see in this chart here, toward the end of 2020, we actually saw, per Google Safe Browsing's statistics, some of the largest ever volumes of phishing sites being published on the internet. So for me, the PayPal internship was really a unique opportunity to look at real world data sets. We had some great ideas coming out of the university setting, but by looking at real data, we could actually apply those ideas and have a nice impact, while also making measurements over those meaningful large data sets. So through this opportunity, we were actually able to identify and resolve some technical issues in key anti-phishing systems, especially on mobile devices, right? So we're talking, fixes that affect hundreds of millions to billions of users of Android and iOS, which for me was just a wonderful opportunity to be able to, take that research and really have that real world impact. Through the university partnerships as well, following the internship, we published some of those research findings and are now working to take the prototypes and the recommendations from that research and actually build them out through industry partnerships at the ecosystem level, right? So that the ideas that we came up with and those systems may end up in the future being standards that are used by the whole internet, or systems that security practitioners can go in and access.
Adam, can you, just for a second, can you share any of the findings and recommendations since the report's published? I'm assuming it's not proprietary, but could you share just a couple that you thought were pretty compelling?
So I think one of the main recommendations right now that came out of this research is the importance of metrics and measurements at scale. So I showed you that chart earlier from Google Safe Browsing, which is Google's anti-phishing solution. And that's a great perspective on, I guess, the state of the ecosystem. But we don't really have any sort of large-scale measurements that can inform us of the health of that ecosystem. So that's one of our key recommendations right now that we're working with the anti-phishing working group, which is a nonprofit. To build that out and to have some sort of a collaborative framework where financial organizations, technology companies, universities, just about any company that's targeted by these sorts of attacks can go in and look at the data and understand, what are the key threats and that sort of thing. So that's one of our key recommendations. Another key recommendation is the need to be, proactive. We have a nice paper that I'll talk about. Actually, it's on the slide here. It's called Sunset to Sunrise that looked at the end-to-end landscape of these phishing attacks. And we learned that attackers are very agile and they're able to cause damage before, well before being detected. So one of our key recommendations there is really to look at those gaps, look at those delays in current systems to see what can be done across, the ecosystem. And when I say ecosystem, I mean the email providers, the organizations being targeted, the computer systems that the users are using, right? Everything together to minimize delays in detection and close the window of opportunity for attackers. So it really is all about being proactive.
Well, and that's an interesting area. So many of our students and what we see publicly is on the hacking side of the equation versus the proactive measures that can be taken on the front end. So this is an interesting perspective that, again, students, individuals have different interests, different desires in terms of how they apply their skills and capabilities. I just happen to think this was kind of interesting. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I agree. It's, there's a very broad range of skill sets and things that you could look at in cybersecurity, right? So there is the traditional hacking, which I think is, really, really interesting. And I did myself do a bunch of that sort of work in the university setting. But there are also, as you mentioned, measurements and these kind of, higher level oversight roles as well that are just as important. So there's something out there for everyone.
Thanks.
But if we go back to wrapping up the impact of some of this work that we did, the prototypes that we developed at that internship are now being used by PayPal, and through the university partnerships that we had with Arizona State, we were able to publish our findings at a variety of top-tier venues. And continue collaborations now with other major organizations, not just the nonprofits, but also the brands that power these anti-phishing systems to make them more secure. And we actually won at last year's Usenix Security Conference, which is one of the major security research conferences in the US. We won the Internet Defense Prize, which was essentially a prize sponsored by Facebook for the most meaningful contributions to long-term internet security. So this was a wonderful opportunity for me to really, take that interest in websites, web development, and web security, and turn it into something that ends up protecting users at scale. And I'm really excited to be a part of this team at PayPal, and also being able to work with future students and future interns and future employees that might have similar opportunities. So with that, thank you very much. I think similar to RC, I'd be happy to answer any other questions if there are any right now. And if not, I will hand it over to Yegana, who is going to give us a little deep dive on some of her really interesting research in mobile security. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Adam. Any questions before we go on to the next section? Not seeing anybody come off mute, so we'll turn it over to you, Yegana.
Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen.
Perfect.
You guys see
We
the
can.
slides?
Yep.
Okay. So my name is ElevateEdAZ, and your pronunciation was spot on. So, and I'm part of threat management team working with Adam and RC. RC is my boss. My area of work and research is mobile security. A bit about me, education-wise. I did my bachelor in Iran in pure mathematics, and then I went to do my master in computer science at UMIST in Manchester, where Alan Turing, I realized in the middle of my master, I realized this is the school that Alan Turing was working. It was really interesting, and I really like history. Like, it gives you perspective, and if you don't know who he is, he laid the foundation of modern computing. And I would recommend you watch The Imitation Game. That's a really nice movie about him and what he did at World War II. After that, I went back to the industry, worked for like 9 years. Then I realized that I have a passion to do research and do more. So I came to the United States back in 2015, pursuing my PhD, and joined ASU, joined CEFCOM lab. It's a security lab at ASU. This is a picture of all our lab mates and professors. We have like wide variety of projects, from like network security, web security, mobile security, binary analysis, and everything. And then we did a lot of collaborations with industry folks like PayPal. And through that, I got introduced to PayPal and worked with them. And I got a couple of internships. As Adam mentioned, we have like a really nice 12-week program. And I did 2 of them back in 2017 and 18. It's a really nice program. You get to see, again, as Adam mentioned, a lot of other interns joining. You have like a lot of mentor sessions with people at PayPal. And then you get to know what PayPal business is all about. And then you engage with like other teams. You sit out their meetings, you go through the tasks that they're doing. You just get a really good perspective of how things work. And then you go to this fun 1-week intern summit when you get to see other interns, what the project they're working on. You team up with people, it's a really informative and fun week. It was, I think back then it was like 280 or something interns throughout PayPal, and the top picture is interns at that year only at the Scottsdale office. And the one thing that I really enjoyed back then is the way that they recognize your work. If you do hard work and you deliver, they actually really recognize that, and that was really important to me. So I accepted the offer and joined PayPal 2019, and I turned my PhD into like part-time PhD. And as soon as I joined, one thing that, before I get to the technical parts and what I actually do, I just wanted to mention that one thing that was really interesting to me was how much resources and effort they're putting, they as in us, PayPal is putting into diversity and inclusions. We have a lot of courses for our employees and leadership to make sure that they have like a common understanding of what diversity and inclusion is, and to make sure that your your background, culture, I don't know, your gender, things like that doesn't identify you. And this only like your talent, your hard work, and your knowledge is something that people care about. And that was really interesting to me. And it's still, I don't know from like high school and school wise, like where we are right now. But I know from what I see from graduate level, like universities and work, we have like a long way to go. Looking at the team that we have at ASU, you see like 20 something people, only 3 of us are women. But looking at the interns, it's like a really nice distribution gender wise. And of course, there are a lot of other things that we need to fix, but I feel like the company that values these things, that it was really important to me, and it was nice to see. So a bit about how it all began for me. It was my first job. After setting up everything, a couple of days, my boss asked me, what do you know about mobile programming? Back then, I didn't even know that. I knew that you have the OS and everything, but I didn't know that you can actually program for mobile phones. And that was the phone that I had back then. And I started doing like a week of research and what's going on and what I can do. Back then, it was using like Symbian OS, and it was using Java to communicate with the devices. And given my background in image processing, we did a really fun project on steganography, which is the art of hiding your messages inside of another file. Here it's like an image file, and this is like a famous like image database if you're doing image processing back then. The difference between encryption and steganography is, with encryption, there are messaging that are being sent, but this is the way that no one knows that you're hiding your message. And it was everything that what I did was the start of my journey in like mobile security and mobile programming and everything. So what I do right now, like fast forward, I don't know, 15 years, I was like 2004, I think, when I started. What I do right now at PayPal is I do a lot of researching on what it is that it's hitting our user, our platform in terms of mobile threats. So constantly looking at things that are going on in terms of fraudsters, how they attack us, and then looking at our controls and metrics, if they're effective, the gaps that are there, and try to fix it. And for that, you need to have skill-wise, you need to be able to analyze different applications. You need to reverse engineer, and you need to have those knowledge. And what it helped for me is when I joined the university, I joined this team, Pond Devils. It's like a ethical hacking team. We do like CTFs, which is capture the flag kind of competitions. And Adam talked about that too. It's like you sit down, you hack like a lot of services that they actually intentionally put bugs in. And it just like gradually, like at the beginning, you don't know what you're doing, but gradually it gives you a lot of good understanding of your real world services and software, and how the bugs are to detect the bugs that are in there, to exploit the vulnerabilities that are in there. And I'm not part of that team anymore now, but I've seen a lot of like high schoolers joining, and they have a lot of like talents joining that team, which was really interesting to me, because when I was in high school, I had no idea that you could do that much stuff. Another thing that you need, as again Adam mentioned, that you need to be able to work with big data. We have a big company with like a huge user base. So if you want to make sense of the data, you need to be able to do analytics on the data, get statistics, and you need to visualize. Sometimes when visualizing the data, you will you will see a lot of things that you don't normally see. So being able to optimize how you run things and get information is really, really helpful. And then you identify, of course, problems and gaps, and then you have to have the famous problem-solving skills to be able to figure out how you can fix it, get around it, make it better. And then, of course, you need to collaborate with other teams on certain stuff. Again, as RC mentioned, we are an oversight team, so we don't own any controls, but we are bugging people about their controls. So you need to be able to have that people skill to communicate with everyone. And again, when I started, I was like, oh, great. Like I don't have to communicate with anyone. I don't have to write anything other than code. I just sit on my computer and work, which is awesome. That's why I joined computer science field and started my education. But that's not the case. Like we need to teach our kids that you need to have a lot of different skills at some level, right? It's not like, I feel like 90% of the jobs you need to collaborate with other people. You need to have that problem solving skills. And this is something that so I joined because I wanted to avoid, like, unless you're Linus Torvalds, who wrote Linux kernel, he said that he's not a people person. He doesn't do documentation. He doesn't write. And another thing that was interesting was I'm really bad at writing. So I was like, okay, that's good. Like I don't have to write, but you need to do a lot of documentation and writing and presenting, which is something that we need to share with our kids, that it's not like really focus in one specific area. So a bit of the actual work that we're doing in the areas that interest us is the threats that we see in mobile ecosystem. We care about malware and tampered devices, and malware are the softwares that are intentionally designed to harm your device and steal your data. And we care about that in terms of like protecting our users and tampered devices, because there are risks associated with that. So we need to be able to detect tampered devices because if you have malware on the devices that have like root access, super user access, you get a lot more damage, both on our platform and on our users. So we're actively trying to update our controls to detect those and to warn our users, to protect the users if they're running malware or they're at risk of their data being stolen. Another important thing is, as you all know, mobile and any operating systems always getting patches and updates and security fixes. So it's really important to keep your OS up to date. And this is what I saw. There was a report a couple of months ago that 99% of US government employees are using old versions of the Android OS, which was not shocking, but interesting. The thing is, if you're running outdated software, you increase that surface for the attack. And if you get malware on your device, they're gonna do more damage. And another most important thing that mostly Adam's working on, but this is something that this is how you get that unwanted application or malware on your device. It's getting harder and harder for the malware to get into marketplaces like Google Play Store. But what they do, they actually get to you by means of social engineering and phishing attacks. And this is something that we care about and trying to protect our users. A bit of history of how it started in terms of malware and security threats on mobile ecosystem. It started from, this is a nice visualization that I borrowed from 2004, that you had like malware spreading from using Bluetooth, and then malware that are getting rooted access on your device. And then gradually, you see from 2011, most of the attacks are designed to attack payment applications because it's more profit for them, right? So, and it's been a trend till now. So the bottom visualization shows the work that we did on malware analysis to see like what malware we see from our users and devices. And it was like a family of malware called Anubis that was really widespread. It was actually like a service. You can actually go and buy the base code and you can run it yourself, right? And they were getting into Google Play Store, impersonating as an calculator app or an update or a flash app or a converter. And then and it looked like a benign application, but under the hood, they were like doing their malicious activities, getting different access, stealing your banking information. And then towards the end, like 2020, 2021, because the vetting system of the Google Play Store getting better and better, so it's harder for malware to get in. So if you create an application that is that has malicious data in, it's really hard to put it up in App Store. And then so they the fraudster get into just good old phishing attacks, sending you an email saying, oh, you have like a bill that is overdue, electricity bill that you need to pay, or we shut out your electricity. So you just like connect on a link, and then they download the malware on your device. And this was something that we work on to make sure that our users are protected against these attacks. And this is the, again, visualization from a report from Kaspersky back in 2017. That's still the case. That shows why we care about tampered devices and rooted devices. That 6 out of 10 countries with most rooted devices are amongst the top 10 most attacked countries. So we see a lot of attacks going on those devices, again, because you have more privileges and malware love to have more privileges on your device. As far as recommendations that we have and things that we work on to protect our users is we try to show them the options of using multi-factor authentication. It's always better to use multi-factor authentication. Use PIN or Face ID on your device in case it's stolen or malware gets on your device. You need to have up-to-date antivirus on your device. A lot of malicious activities are getting detected by those. Like Google has the Google Play Protect that is constantly running. And one thing that malware does, it just disables that. So make sure that you have up-to-date stuff on your device. And then, of course, the operating system regularly update that. And then avoid installing untrusted applications, like a lot of apps that you see. It was like, oh, that's a interesting app, and you install it, and it looks benign, but it does a lot of. It could do a lot of damage on your device and steal your sensitive data. And with that, I hand it off to RC for more questions and discussions.
Yagana, thank you so much. While RC comes back on, that was a great presentation, and it's been really wonderful to hear all of your stories about where you came from. I see some claps around the room, etc. So thanks so much for everything that you have shared right now. RC, I'll send it back to you, and then we'll see if there's questions, and we can probably, if you want to stop screen sharing, Yagana, then we'll be able to see the full gallery.
I thought I did. Okay, now I did.
Awesome.
RC, back to you.
Yeah, thanks. So we have one last slide that we'll show. It's basically a Q&A slide. So yeah, no, it's totally fine. I'll pop that up real quick. So let me do that.
Yep.
while we're talking.
Great.
And share screen. Move this over, go desktop 2. And there you go. So can you guys see the screen?
Yep, we can.
Awesome.
Perfect.
So awesome. So yeah, so real big takeaways from this session. You know, we really wanted to showcase the fact that information security, it spans a lot of different domains, right? It's not just about writing code, right? You saw 2 examples from 2 of our top researchers, right? One in mobile security, one in fraud scams and anti-phishing, right? So it's very different. There's also things like bug bounty, there's pen testing, there's red teaming, there's security and policy, there's compliance, there's all these other things that make up information security domain. So we really wanted to make sure that was you know, highlighted here in this discussion. Again, you know, to that same point, right? There's opportunities for a broad range of different majors and students, or, you know, people graduate with different types of degrees, different types of life experience and interests. So it's just such a broad range of opportunities as well. And again, like depending on where you come from and your experiences, you can actually do so many different things within the information security itself. And so that's just something to impress upon the students that, you know, even if you're like Yegina and don't want to talk to anybody and want to stay in your shell, there is a place for you. Now, granted, the work we do, you need to actually collaborate and communicate and the rest, as she pointed out. But there's definitely a place. If all you want to do is talk to people and interact and give presentations and speeches, there's a spot there. If you're big on policy, right? So you know, it's very, very, you know, there's a plethora of different opportunities. And again, getting back to it, you know, soft skills really matter, right? You know, if we were able to actually work in a bubble, isolated on your own, it wouldn't matter about your soft skills. But since we are such a highly collaborative company and a highly collaborative industry, like, you know, you have to actually get out and talk to people, and those things actually really can make or break your career, right? So really being collaborative is just a big piece of what's needed. And again, going back to another comment Yegina made about documentation. I'm not a fan of writing myself, but it's something that it's so important. I can't stress how much this is important when you start getting into the real world, and something that you guys can share back with your students. If for nothing else, almost you can think of it selfishly as well, because in a world like information security world, there are a lot of things going on at the same time, and things coming at you rapidly, right? Like things change quickly. And so when you're working on something, you're head down, like right now, you might have it all in your mind. You're coding away or you're writing stuff up and everything's great. But then you're going to switch to something else, and then you're going to switch to something else. But then what's going to happen is somebody that you were collaborating with on that first project, they're going to reach out to you and says, hey, where are we at with this? What were the major insights? And if you didn't document, you're going to have to go back and redo all your work so you have something intelligent to say back to this person. So again, documentation is huge. And so writing skills are something important. Definitely can translate that you know, back to the students as well. And again, we just wanted to share with you, you know, if you want to learn more about our university programs and that group in terms of having your students apply for internships and learn about that, you can go to paypal.com/university. It's a great portal that has a lot of information that's available for folks to learn and apply and all the rest. So just want to go over that last little bit before wrapping up. So with that, we are done, and we actually wanted to open the floor up for questions for everybody. If anybody has anything they want to ask one or all of us, and happy to share and conversate a bit.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This has just been great. Janet, I see your microphone is off. So please ask your question or share your comment.
I have a couple for you. First of all, it's very impressive that all of you have a PhD, and 2 of you are getting a PhD, and I'm hearing a lot about education with PayPal, more so than others. So in PayPal, how important is that degree? Is that something that is a requirement for your company? That's something you feel very strongly about? I also hear that you're very strong about the soft skills, but I noticed very much the emphasis on education right now. So I'd like to ask that. And then my second question would be, would you say that technical writing skills are as important as regular writing skills? Because I know in the high school, we're starting to push our kids into technical writing when we know that they're computer science majors or cybersecurity majors. Should we still be, take that English 4 and take the, technical writing?
So I can jump in first for that one. So a couple things. One, actually, so of the group, 2 of us have PhDs and 1 is just about finished up with a PhD. And in terms of education being important, it's definitely important, but it's not the only thing. It's not you have a PhD, you're in, you don't, you're out. Like it's very different. For example, right? We just finished hiring somebody on my team, in fact, who doesn't have a degree. Right. But they're also one of the world's leading researchers. They participate in conferences, they give talks, they publish peer-reviewed research. And so the fact that they have a degree or not wasn't the make or break factor. It was what's the quality of the work they've been doing, where they've been working, what have they been up to. So it's definitely not a degree or no degree situation. That said, you have to stand out among the rest. So if you don't have degree and you're not somebody who's got that sort of accomplishment, you're going to have to bring something to the table that says that you can operate at a high enough level that we need you to. Right. And in terms of the writing, both technical and non-technical are both important in my eyes. But I'll let Adam and Yegana respond as
well. Yeah. So just one point of clarification in terms of the PhD heavy nature of this talk specifically, right? As an oversight and research group, right? I think the PhD background really helps with, having the whole research skill set, right? And identifying new problems, writing papers, sharing that information. So that's kind of a lot of what our team does, and that's very important to us. But the broader information security group at PayPal, right, is very diverse in terms of backgrounds, types of degrees, and skill sets. Ranging from potentially high school, undergrad, all the way up to PhD in certain other contexts. So I think there's a wide range there. In terms of writing, I think writing is still important. It's really important to be able to communicate concisely, I would say. And so technical writing is great for, documenting stuff, putting together reports, but the ability to write an email to a complete stranger, to get your point across and, introduce yourself effectively, I think is equally important and definitely should still be stressed in, the classroom setting.
Great, thanks, Adam. Yegana, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, they actually covered everything. So.
Okay, and I would say that to Janet, the comments that you made in talking about the fact that you've got an apprentice. I don't know what his or her education background is, but my guess is it's not a degree in computer science and it's not an advanced degree. The fact that you do bring on year-up individuals would demonstrate to me that kind of broad range of thinking as you look at talent. I'd ask one extending question on that, and that is, you have a customer service-based organization. You have more entry-level positions at PayPal. And what I'm wondering is, if a high school graduate who maybe had a network security class and may or may not have a certification, but needed to go to work right out of high school, came to PayPal and interviewed for a customer service job and had the good communication skills, et cetera, but said, what, my longer term goal is I'd like to be in cybersecurity. I know PayPal has great, benefits for training. Would some of the entry level organizations look at that person favorably and say, wow, this is a go-getter. They're willing to start at an entry level and move. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, so I can actually answer that by giving an example without names, of course. So definitely before we were in this COVID situation we find ourselves, we actually would do rotations with some of the groups from our customer service site out in Chandler. And
Yep.
so what we would do is we would work with the managers there and identify top talent, right? And those top talents, we would actually have them rotate with us doing a project, whether it be once a week, once every other week, and they would work dedicated to us on that specific problem or project that we've given them, right? And that's how we actually give them opportunities to grow from doing the call center work to working with us. So this is something that we've traditionally done over the last few years, and we've been quite successful. We have a number of individuals who have gone on to work directly with my team or onto other teams as well that came through that process. So that's definitely something we do. In terms of hiring at the call centers and that sort of help desk work, I'm not going to speak specifically for those organizations, but based on some conversations that I have had with them, again, going back to my earlier comment, having a degree or not having a degree does not disqualify you any way, shape, or form in terms of getting the position. But definitely those soft skills, having good personality, being eager, being a go-getter, being willing to put in the work, right, goes a long way in terms of interviewing at any level in the company.
That's great. Thanks so much. Would anybody else like to come off of mute? Questions for any of the presenters?
Yeah, I've got a quick one. So just as everyone else has already said, thank you so much for your time and for participating and jumping in. But I mean, you've listed off a bunch of different things and you've said you've worked with a lot of interns already. But if there was just gonna be one thing that you would like to see interns bring to the table that they don't normally have, what would be that one additional thing?
Wow, putting me on the spot here. So, so I think it would be if we're gonna go higher level soft skills, it would just be curiosity and that willingness to explore and dig and put in that work to understand how to solve the problems, ask the question why. Right? Why is this way? What does this look? How do we learn? And really being able to dig in and not let go. I think that would be, if I had a single word answer, what it would be. I think if we look at the interns that we've had traditionally on this team, they've been at PhD level, so they're solving some really some high level, technically challenging problems and issues that we face as a company, as an ecosystem. And so bringing that the research experience and just that desire to do more is super important as a soft skill, aside from the technical piece as well.
So in an interview process or where you're assessing candidates, you would look for that how RC, that someone tells you, you ask them a question about something they were interested in, a problem they solved. I mean, curiosity is a little hard to get at in behavioral interviewing and even technical. So how do you get at that?
So from my perspective, what I like to do is just ask, what have you been working on lately? What are you interested in, right? And start that conversation. And then it's about letting them lead the way, but continuing to dig deeper and see if they're able to answer the next question and the next question along that topic, right? So you say you're interested in mobile security. Awesome. Well, what's your platform of preference? Cool. So have you found any interesting bugs? Awesome. What's the biggest security gap that you've identified? Was this part of a school project, or is this something you did on your own? Do you have a code repository somewhere where you've actually released some of this code? Have you published any papers in this area, right? And you can keep going and you can keep digging in and get an understanding. And a lot of times the folks who don't really have that true curiosity where they have to know the answer, they're not able to answer any deeper than, I like mobile security.
Yeah,
it's important. And then that's it, right?
Great feedback on that. Wyatt, did that answer your question? And do you have another one? I see your mic is still open.
No, I just wanted to respond to what RC was saying. So then if we could get students involved in projects outside of the classroom, potentially working on different open source projects, something like that, that sounds like that would be a good fit, and that would give them something to talk about during the interview.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. Anything where you're going hands-on with, whether it be hacking or CTFs or, developing systems or analyzing systems, That kind of practical hands-on experience really goes a long way. And it can also spark their curiosity because they might, become really interested in some aspect of what they worked on and then dig deeper into that on their own.
Great,
Cool.
thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else got a question they would like to ask? I have a couple, but I want to make sure that all of you get a chance. Anyone want to come off mute?
Actually, I want to put y'all on the spot one more time here, because you may have already answered this question too, but so you've talked about what you want to see when the interviewers, when applicants come in. So tell me, what is it? And again, I think you might have already answered this, but what is it that just make, you got someone who comes in with pretty decent technical skills, pretty high quality, their resume looks real nice, but what makes you just shake your head when an employee, or when a prospective employee comes in, without, and if you don't, maybe if you have an example without naming names, what just makes you go, man,
Oh, on the downside, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
What's the one thing you want our potential employees to avoid, when coming in to see you, and with the prospect of joining PayPal?
I can share
So I'll
some
let Yegan
for RC. Yeah, I remember attending Grace Hopper conference, and it was RC's boss, which was my boss at the time, Brad, was interviewing some candidate, and it was all women, right? And Brad was like this, as you mentioned. And I was like, what's going on? Like, how did it go with the, and it was like, I really want to give people the opportunity to join. But when I ask questions like, okay, so how do you think you can help us, right? What can you bring to us? And they come back and say, well, anything, like we do everything. Like we have the knowledge, we do all these projects, and anything that you ask us to do, we do. The fact that, one thing that I care during interviews is how much you guys know about us, right? So if I want to join your company, it means that I'm interested in your company. Well, if I have no idea what you do, how is it that I'm interested in your company, right? And we have a lot of data online that it's not like, oh, like there are a lot of data that are like hidden. We can find it. It's just like proprietary to the company. You can find a lot of information, and you can actually show that you can fit here really well. And this is something that Brad and RC did with us. It was like, let us know what you can do for us. And me and Adam came up with projects. It was like, here, we feel like, and we tweaked it, changed it. It was just like a different thing now, but showing that you care and you can work with them. That's, I think, when you don't do that and you're like, yeah, I can do everything. And they're like, maybe you can, right? Maybe that's true. And, but showing specifically what you know and what you can contribute, it shows that you have a bit of curiosity, as RC mentioned.
I think that's an amazing example, and it reinforces things that everyone has said throughout the presentation. Also, some of the things that Todd Stewart from SRP said as well. And I think students don't often think about that. They think about their degree, their certifications, and it's like, okay, I'm here. What do you want me to do? And whether it's keeping up on some of the issues in the industry, the latest attacks, knowing about your company, thinking about how they fit in. I think those were just great examples. So thank you for sharing that.
And another thing that I wanted, if you have time,
yeah,
I wanted to mention in response to Wyatt's questions, one thing that I see in different people and how they succeed, the fact that you encounter an obstacle, an error, a bug, a problem, and then you stop. You're like, well, I can't go further. So, and then there are a lot of people with good knowledge that do that. That's a way of working. I don't know, but if you teach them that, okay, so you stop. Have you? And this is what a lot of my like professors and people that I worked with did with me, because I wasn't like this before. I was like that. Oh, I encounter an error. So what do I do? And then they taught us, I was like, oh, have you done this? Have you searched? Have you tried this? Have you? And I was like, oh, okay. So next time I tried these couple of things that they mentioned. And then they said, oh, like, you can do this. And so just teaching them that you stop when it's actually an obstacle that like probably 80% of people cannot get around, right? But you don't stop at the first thing that hits you. It's like if you have like that self-driving, right? It will get you far, and that's, I think, something that is really, really important. And I have like a huge respect for teachers. They had like they influenced my life drastically. So, and I know how influential you people can be. And I feel like this is something really important that I learned later. But if I could learn earlier, that would be nicer, you know.
Again, great feedback. This part of the discussion has been, I think, every bit as valuable in the last 10 or 15 minutes as all of the technical pieces, the history, the journeys you've all taken. So I think that was amazing. We're getting to wrap up, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I don't see anybody else off mute, so I'm going to make a comment or two and leave you with something. First of all, I was reminded this morning when Todd Stewart from SRP presented that his boss calls soft skills power skills. And I remember thinking of it at the time when she told me that, and thought, wow, that's so great. And I think it delivers an entirely different message in some ways than soft skills. So I wanted to not as an either or, but a both and. I thought that was pretty, I was glad to be reminded of that today. And I thought you all might as well, because of the critical importance of those skills. I can't thank you enough, and I know you've seen that in the chat and everything else. This has been a wonderful, wonderful presentation, and we've all learned a lot. I have great notes, and one of them that I have that I don't know if you do anything like this, RC, at PayPal, and would love to talk with you and Josh and Brad and perhaps some others. But you know, represented here in the room today are educators of thousands of future cybersecurity professionals. And being as innovative and open as PayPal is, if you don't already do this, would love to talk with you to figure out what it might take to consider externships for educators in a similar way that you do internships for future employees. This is, you know, if you are with one of these educators and they can take some firsthand things back to their class, expanding on what they've learned today, they could do some even more amazing things than all of them do every day with their students. So I will leave you with that unless you have any last minute comments.
Yeah, happy to explore that. I think it's important. Education is, you know, brought me to where I am today, and all of us. So both my parents are educators, so I definitely have a soft spot for educators and my heart as well. So happy to do what we can to support. And yeah, this has been a great session for us as well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who came to join us today, and really appreciate you hanging around and listen to us present, and happy to you know, connect and do this again sometime.
Great.
Thanks,
well,
Kathleen. Really
thank you
appreciate it.
all so very, very much. Educators, we're off now. We start again tomorrow at 8 o'clock with Kudelski Security, and that I know is going to be a very interesting session. I will stay on if anyone has any questions or needs anything else from me. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And RC and Adam and Yenica, thank you again so much for your time today.
Thanks.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Hi, Andres. Andres, did you have any a question for me or need something from me? He might have stepped away and not realized we're done with this. Oh, Andres, yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Where do I find the information for our project deliverable that we have to turn in.
It's
Where is that at?
Yep, it's in the Dropbox. And
Yeah,
you have
okay.
a link to the Dropbox in your emails from Robin Bro, B-R-E-A-U-L-T.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where all of the project material is. Do you need
All
me
right,
to?
I'll check out the Dropbox then. I have the link for it because I have the Dropbox because that's how I found the link to come to the sessions today. So if it's in there,
Well,
then
yep. And in the Dropbox is both the schedule document with the links, and there's also the agenda document that has the links. And there's also a folder that has the project information in it. Are you in the Dropbox now?
yeah, I'm heading there to it now.
Okay, yeah, take a look. I have plenty of time. Take a look and see if see what you can find. Oops, I'm going to stop the recording while we do that.